Hey everybody, what's up? What's good? Hope you all are doing well today. The beginning of May. Happy birthday to all you Tauruses out there. I have too many of the bulls in my family, so happy birthday to all you guys. Tauruses are wonderful people. Stubborn, but very wonderful people. I also just wanted to make a quick note here and just say that I'm sorry, you guys, to the people that have been watching these videos and to my subscribers. I've been away for several days because my main computer went out on me, my main laptop, and so I've been dealing with all that and having to, or needing to, adjust and adapt to keep things rolling along. But I'm back. I'm never going to let anything stop us from connecting and talking about the issues and discussing things that we find important. So with all that said, I'll jump right into it, talking about The View from today's date, May the 8th. Today's show was a good one. I really did enjoy it. One thing I found very sad, and it happened in the beginning of the show, is they spent less than 30 seconds talking about the school shooting that just recently happened. And why that's sad is because, as many people have commented in other videos and other, media, our country has just gotten entirely too used to school shootings, and it's very sad, it's very disheartening that we're getting to a place where, and they talked about that with Dr. Biden when she was on today, how elementary school kids are going through active shooter drills and things like that, stuff that if you're over the age of, if you're over the age of 25, that's not anything that you've ever had to really deal with or interface. Not that there weren't school shootings, the first, really massive one in recent history was at Columbine in '99. And so we all know how long ago that's been now. But I didn't have active school shooting drills. Even though I was still very much in school at the time, and I was on my way to high school at that time. I was 99. I would have been 99. That would have been my first year of high school. And the fact that these kids are doing this as something that is routine. It's become as routine as fire drills. We had fire drills in where I lived. We would also have earthquake drills because I live in California. So we learned how to prepare for an earthquake, and we learned how to prepare for a fire. The fact that these kids, young as elementary school, have to start preparing themselves to respond to an active shooter, that is just really sad to me, you guys. I just find that to be very sad, and I don't know how parents are dealing with it. I really don't, because that's a lot of pressure for your child to have to worry about. It's enough things going on in the world, and depending upon where this child may live, that may be their fear even in their neighborhood, dying to gun violence or something like that. So to top it off, and the one place that you should be able to go and feel some modicum of safety, school, church, the mall, the movies, that's just really sad that all that's being eroded in the name of the Second Amendment, really. Because there's a lot of things that could have happened to, there's a lot of laws and there's things that we can be doing to start working and preventing some of this stuff, including the agencies better sharing information that they have. So it's just a very, very sad thing, and my heart goes out to those victims and those families that were impacted by this senseless tragedy. And unfortunately, Whoopi Goldberg had to make really 3 hard, very, to me, awkward transitions this morning. She did the transition from the ladies who were dressed like Frida Pinto. She did the transition from the school shootings, and then she did, transitioned, excuse me. She transitioned from that into talking about this whole thing about the New York Times report on Donald Trump's massive losses. I really don't get the New York Times, so I have a hard time applauding them whenever they do something right, because they do so much wrong. And I feel the same way about the Times as I do Mika and Joe. I didn't do a video about yesterday's show, but I'm going to talk briefly about this week's shows in this video, just so we can kind of catch up all together. I didn't even watch that part of the show yesterday with Mika and Joe, because I've never liked them. Way before Donald Trump came into the fray, they've always been highly obnoxious to me as a pair. I don't know who couldn't tell that they weren't hooking up way before they got married. Anybody that didn't know that, your sense of intuition is severely lacking, and you need to go to the hospital and Had a doctor look at it, because that your intuition gene is flawed. Everybody knew they had something going on. It was more than obvious. And they didn't have a problem with Donald Trump until Donald Trump said something about them. And when you're that kind of a person, Donald Trump is like that. He operates the same way. Michael Cohen was his lapdog until Michael Cohen went in there and started cooperating with the Mueller investigation. And then after that, they didn't have enough bad things to say about him. Same thing with Omarosa. Same thing with so many people that have dealt with Trump and no longer deal with him. As soon as you're not on his team, then you're everything that's terrible. So Joe and Mika fall into that category. They were one of the main, and in the morning too. Let's be very mindful of that. In the morning. So their show comes on my time. I believe it starts about 4 in the morning, which what is that? That's like 7 o'clock on the East Coast and 6 o'clock in the Midwest or whatever like that, right? So these people got accustomed to seeing Donald Trump first thing in the morning. They came home and they saw them at night. Mika and Joe were a big part of that. He would call in. He would get to talk to them on MSNBC. Okay, this is not some conservative, hardcore conservative channel. They gave him a lot of free airtime and a lot of free publicity, and all of that led to him being seen in a certain way by people who want to see something different and people who wanted to see that, period. His rhetoric was matching up with what he, with what he was talking. The way he was walking it was the way he was talking it. He didn't take anything back. He didn't believe in apologizing for anything. And they fought really hard. They fought really dirty in that 2016 election. We won't go all down that road because we all lived it the first time. But that's why I don't deal with Mika and Joe. That's just they're not my cup of tea. And now all of a sudden that they have a bad little romance with Donald Trump, it's all bad on both sides. And it wasn't like that before when he was calling in, talking to them for at length. So, when you come from that whole place of I'm on your side until I'm not on your side, that stuff is disingenuous. But to get back to my point with the New York Times, they ran a lot of I'm not going to say that the articles are inaccurate because there is accuracy there, but it definitely seemed like to me they had an agenda in the 2016 election. There's a lot of things that they could have written about Donald Trump that they did not, that they kept passing off. In the aftermath of the election, the first thing that mainstream media wanted to tell us how to do is how to appeal to these Trump voters. Nobody was talking about, well, what about the people who just didn't come out at all? All the attention, all the focus was on him, and the New York Times had a big part in that as well. So for them to sit up here and try to act like they're playing all this hardball with Donald Trump now, to me, is just really hollow. I'm not buying a piece of it. I'm sorry, I'm not buying any of it. Now, here's the thing about Donald Trump and his supporters. Joy asked a question today, will this move the needle on them? Or Sonny asked it. It's not going to move the needle on his supporters. His supporters know why they're supporting him. Now, everybody doesn't want to be lumped into that category. And this is going to bring me to this point about the representative that was on yesterday, Dan Crenshaw. First of all, I don't even know why we're still talking about him in this Pete Davidson situation. Pete Davidson made his joke. I thought it was funny, but whatever. Everybody didn't take lightly to it because the man has served time in combat. Well, okay, that's just fine. We have a lot of people that serve time, and I think they all should be respected. All of them, not just when they're running on a Republican ticket, but all of them. Because I didn't see these people having too much of a problem when Donald Trump was coming after Gold Star families. These folks didn't have a problem with that. But now we're talking about Dan Crenshaw and his eye patch, and this is just, Armageddon. I don't know why we're still talking about it. Pete made a joke. He apologized for the joke. They had the man on SNL. They did a little thing together. Kumbaya, kumbaya. We moved on, I thought. Here he is again on The View. He won his election. Why is he on The View still discussing this stuff? I don't understand that. I really don't. And maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention. Was he promoting a book? Does he have a new movie coming out? Is he running for another office? I don't understand why he was there. Normally when people come on The View, it's because they're launching something, they're getting ready to go into something. It's a publicity tour. Jill Biden was on today because she's got a book. And her husband just announced. So that made sense to me. I didn't understand why Dan Crenshaw was on there. Maybe you guys can tell me. Also found him, there's a new strain of Republican or conservative. I won't say Republican. And you see it in the likes of a Dan Crenshaw. You see it in the likes of a Ben Shapiro. Others that kind of go down that line. It's not a whole lot of them, but it's a new strain of conservatism. And I think they get it from Grover Norquist, because he has the same way of talking. It doesn't matter how BS his facts are. He's gonna stay calm. He's gonna stay measured, and he's just gonna keep repeating his facts in a pretty polite way. But he's gonna keep repeating his facts, and he'll tell you that you're wrong, that you don't know what you're talking about, and he'll go back to his facts. He never gets loud. It doesn't necessarily get ugly, and I've seen that a lot, and a lot, especially lately, with like I said, Ben Shapiro. Especially if you're younger and you can kind of keep it all under control and speak in a very calm and measured tone and just repeat your facts, and when a Democrat says something that you disagree with or you think you have a fact to refute it, you just say, well, no, you're wrong and I disagree, and then you spit off your little, your information. I think that the people that are not conservatives that like Dan Crenshaw, that's why you like him, because even though he was speaking complete BS, and Sunny fact-checked him in real time on many of those points. Now, she was not going to continue to go back and forth with him. Well, no, he did say that. Well, no, he didn't say that, when they were talking about Trump's response to Charlottesville. But what I find troubling about people like Dan Crenshaw, and again, Republicans like to try to do this with Donald Trump. Well, I don't agree with his rhetoric, but I agree with his policies. Well, I would dare to say that his policies and his rhetoric go hand in hand, because the things that he has been saying are the policies that he is pushing. All of it goes hand in hand. You cannot divorce a person of their words. And especially, I don't know if he's a Christian, but those of us or them or y'all or whoever that call themselves Christians, the Bible says that life and death lie in the power of the tongue. Okay? So, and it also says that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. What you feel is the things that you speak. A man cannot be separated from his words. And when I say a man, I mean everybody. I don't do that whole gender. Oh, I got to make sure I say male, female, people. So when I say man, I mean us all. A man has to be able to separate himself, or cannot separate himself from his words. Your words are bond. And his words and his policies have been going hand in hand. So that was disingenuous. But he said it in a very polite, measured, reasonable tone. He's not a blowhard. He's not Newt Gingrich. He's not Rudy Giuliani. He's not a blowhard. And so because of that, people are willing to listen to him. In addition to, Pete Davidson's kind of set him up for that with that joke. So now he has this whole thing where it's like, yeah, look at the left. They're making fun of people who have been hurt in combat and this and that and the other. No one's making fun of any of that. You guys sure didn't mind making fun of Senator Tammy Duckworth. No one's is apologizing for the jokes that they made about that woman. So, yeah, that was Mr. Crenshaw. I appreciate his temperament, but I don't appreciate the sort of a wolf in a sheep clothing sort of a demeanor. You're coming off one way, but again, rhetoric and actions are closely related. I've not seen many people that speak one way and do something totally different. Most people do not operate that way. Not on everything, anyway. I'll put it that way. Not on everything. So, yeah, that was something. I also thought he was just a bit combative with Sunny, and it wasn't necessary, just because she was fact-checking him on some things. Especially, again, going back to that Charlottesville situation. I find it very interesting that that a lot of people, they're more offended about being called a racist than the racist policies that they're supporting. And that's what I see in Dan Crenshaw. Okay, I said all of that, and now I'm finally getting to what I mean to say, just through my own discovery, self-talk discovery. That's what it is. You're more offended by someone calling you out on your racism than you are being offended by the racist policies that you're supporting. You hate when someone says, well, you're supporting Donald Trump because you're racist. You hate that, but you don't mind the racist stuff that he says. You don't mind the racist shit he's talking about all the time. That doesn't bother you. But you want to be able to get out there and say, well, no, I don't agree with the rhetoric, but I agree with the policy. No, you don't. No, you don't. You agree with the rhetoric. His rhetoric and his actions match hand in hand. So that's all for that. Back to today's show, Jill Biden was wonderful as usual. I really, really like Dr. Biden. Something about her spirit, to me, is very genuine and it's very humble. And I really, really like that about her. I thought that she had a great answer to, this whole situation with Joe Biden and how he's going to run and if he's going to try to play hardball and try to, get on that Donald Trump level. I don't think that he will. Should he be the nominee? I don't think that he will. I'm sure that he probably can. I don't think Joe is somebody to be taken lightly. Y'all remember he was behind Obama when Democrats passed the Affordable Care Act. What did the man say? It's a BFD. I won't even say it, but y'all know what he said. It's a big bleep deal. So he can go there. He can talk now. Joe can talk it. So, if people think he's gonna get up in here and just be some little shrinking violet, you're mistaken on the Joe Biden of today, yesterday, and forevermore. He's not that guy. But I also feel like some of these women could give Donald Trump quite a run for his money as well. These women are not shrinking violets either. Kristen Gillibrand, even though I'm something about her I'm not quite figuring out yet. I can't quite put my finger on it. As you guys will get to know me in this channel, I'm always talking like this because for me, I use my discernment more than anything that I go by. Discernment, intuition, you can call it whatever you want. I use that little still voice on the inside of me that picks up on the minutia of of their aura. They can pick up on the little things around them and their vibe. And something about Kristen Gillibrand, she's fine as a person. She seems totally likable. She seemed like she has done a great job in New York, representing and everything like that. But there's still something for me a little bit, I don't know. But Kamala, I have no doubt that Kamala can handle that, and I definitely have no doubt that Elizabeth Warren can handle that, because if there's one thing that woman loves, y'all watch my girl on SNL, Kate McKinnon, I love the way what she does Warren. We're in this fight. It's a fight. It's always a fight with Elizabeth Warren, so she's ready. She's prepared. But yeah, so I thought that Jill did a really good job today, and she had a really good answer, and I thought it was interesting. I've never heard her speak about how when she first met Joe, how their interactions were, so that was kind of interesting. He's always been that touchy-feely person, and some people just are. And some people are just very affectionate with their words. They're affectionate in touch. Everybody shows love in different ways. And I'm going to take a quick sidebar to that note, because it just occurred to me. Did we not just get this book? How many years ago has it been? About 15? It's been more than 10, I know. The 5 Languages of Love. I thought everybody kind of was clued into that at this point. Different people have different ways of showing their love and showing you their affection. It's not always going to be one standard way. I thought that that as a society, we as women and we at large as people, as men and women, everybody, we're getting a little bit more sophisticated about that. And some of that sophistication comes in with you not only have to know your style, your love language, but you have to be cognizant of others as well. It's not just about you. But drawing back from that sidebar, so yeah, Dr. Biden, again, she was great on today's show. I'm just going to make this last point about the show, because I've already spoken kind of at length about Dr. Biden and the Bidens and this whole situation in a previous video, which I'll have a link in the description and also a card. I think that when I'm jumping back, I'm sorry guys, but I'm jumping back to Monday's show when Whoopi kind of made fun of Megan. Even though I thought it was funny, it was a little uncomfortable for me to watch, because it's like there has been this light switch. It's been this, as we used to say back in the day, this paradigm shift in their relationship. And whereas she would let Megan just do her thing and coddle her and let her, well, go ahead, baby, you go on, baby, and all of that kind of stuff, she's not doing it anymore. And I don't know, how did you go from coddling her to literally making fun of her after she says something? That's to me, that's a little bit jarring. Is it not? Am I tripping? Am I tripping, guys? If I am, please say something in the comments, because I don't want to be, like that and, whatever. But that was a little weird to me. I thought it was funny, but it was a little weird. I don't know how you go from coddling this woman to this now. It's, this extreme. Is there no gray area? Can't you just be a moderator and just make sure everybody just keeps on topic and keep the show moving? I've said it in previous videos. Whoopi has not been my favorite moderator at any point, and she's been on there a long time, but she still is not one of my favorite moderators. Her some of those transitions are just awkward as hell. Today was one of those days. 3 transitions in the beginning that were just awkward as hell. Some of the other moderators have been much more seamless about it. Meredith Vieira was one of them people. She was very seamless with her transitions. I don't know if that comes from being a journalist. It probably does. Probably has a lot of has to do with her background in journalism at large. But yeah, that was kind of weird to me. So I don't really know, where their relationship stands as of now. I hope that they are. It seemed like they were friends before, or at least on really good terms before, and I hope that they are that way now, because if they're not, that would just be very sad to me. That you guys went from one extreme to another. That's something else. Anyway, that's all I really have to say about that. I'm sorry to have to jumble 3 days all in one, guys, and that caused the video to run a little bit long, but hopefully you stuck with me. And you're going to stick with me, stick with the channel, stick with us, stick with our growing network here and our growing community. It's not about, I'm not doing this to be some huge YouTuber. That's not the life I have set up for myself. I already have a working business. I already have a profession that I'm in. So this is not what this is about. I'm doing this because I only have one other person I talk to the view about, if I can. Sony B, and you've heard she and I have done videos on The View together, and we'll be doing more. But I only have that one person really talking to the about The View too. Excuse me, blah blah. I could talk today. So being able to get on here and just kind of vent and rant as I like to do has been very cathartic for me, and I really appreciate you guys. We're gonna have to stick together because this is getting crazy. We're going into another election year. We're in another election cycle, and there's going to be a lot of news, so you guys just stay tuned. There's going to be lots of videos. I sure appreciate you. Thank you so much, and for now, that's it. That's all.